Changing the engine oil on your sailboat's diesel motor can be a daunting task. Today, I'm here to share my top 10 tips and tricks for making that a little easier to accomplish. Join me as I tackle the challenge of mastering oil changes for sailboats. But first, we want to take a moment and say a huge thank you to all of you for helping us get over the 1,000 subscriber mark recently.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It makes such a big difference for us. Let's grow this community.
Next goal, 2,000.
2,000, baby! Regular oil changes are one of many critical maintenance tasks when you own a sailboat. They are essential to extending the life of your engine and even improve its performance. Neglecting oil changes can lead to premature wear, corrosion, or even a catastrophic failure. Believe me, sailboats have breakdowns in one way or another all the time, but an engine failure is very high on the list of things that you want to prevent if you can. And oil changes play a crucial role in achieving that. Diesel engines in particular make an awful lot of soot. The oil is the main apparatus that your engine uses to clean that soot from all the surfaces it can accumulate on. That is why your oil turns darker over time. In addition, regular oil changes can even improve your engine's fuel efficiency, reduce emissions, and even extend its lifespan. So, why do so many sailboat owners neglect this crucial maintenance task? I think it's mainly due to lack of confidence in performing the job correctly. But don't worry, we are about to change that. Now, let's dive into these tips and tricks to help you with changing your oil. Tip number 1. Run your engine to warm up the oil first. It seems like a simple thing, but running your engine first to warm up and thin the oil to make it easier to get out is a fantastic way to speed up the process. But don't forget, after you've warmed up the engine oil, let it sit for at least a few minutes before you start to remove the oil. We are constantly talking to other people out here, and it surprised me several times about how many people skip this step. Tip number 2. Get a vacuum pump. These things are the best. Like everything on a sailboat, it seems like usually there's not a lot of access to the engine, and there's usually even less access to getting an oil drain pan under the engine. It just isn't practical to use the drain plug to remove the oil from the drain pan. These vacuum pumps suck the oil directly out of the dipstick tube, and they make life so much easier. And that takes us straight into tip number 3. Remove your oil cap. The lubrication system on your engine should be airtight or damn close to it. So it doesn't work to suck the oil out the bottom of the engine unless you're letting air into the top. I know this for a fact, but don't ask me how I know. But don't forget, it is incredibly important not to let anything but air go into the top of your engine. You will regret it if you make this mistake.
If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, now's your chance. It's free.
It is free, and it'll help you to know when we post new videos, depending on if you click that little notification bell. Now, where were we? Yes. Tip number 4. Keep your old oil jugs. It might sound like a no-brainer, but when you have very limited storage on your tiny little floating home, it can be mighty tempting to throw these old jugs away. But trust me, don't do it. When we first bought our sailboat, it didn't come with any used oil jugs. And believe me, it was not a fun game of oil container leapfrog, trying to get the new oil into the engine while having to have the old oil somewhere. I think we kept it in juice jugs or milk jugs or something like that until we could put it into the old oil jugs. All of which leads me directly into my next tip. Tip number 5. Use an oil diaper or a spill pad, whatever you call these things, use it. They work great to keep any spills that might happen contained. Whether it's from transferring oil from one jug to another, or the drips that fall off your old oil filter, or any number of other things that can go wrong, these things will save your butt. And, as a bonus, if you don't get anything on it, just stow it away for next time. Tip number 6. Make a small container to catch spilled oil. So some time ago I took this distilled white vinegar container and cut it off at this height, which seemed like it was about right. And typically what I do is I put a tiny bit of paper towel in the bottom of this one and set it directly underneath that oil filter. And then I can back the oil filter out, and what little spillage there is goes into the container, and then we can pour off the waste oil from this container into the used oil jug. Tip number 7. Write the date and engine hours on your new oil filter. In addition to keeping a log of all repairs and maintenance that you do on your boat, writing the date and your engine hours on your new oil filter is a great way of backing that up. And you get to see it every time you do your pre-engine checks, so it's harder to forget when it needs to be done. Tip number 8. Your new filter is probably empty. After you've replaced the oil filter and vacuum sucked all the oil down through the engine, there's a very good chance that there are some parts of the engine, like oil journals and that new filter, that aren't full of oil yet. So, once you get your oil level back to where it should be, run the engine for a few minutes, then wait a few minutes and check your engine oil level again. I bet it'll be down a little bit, and all you have to do is top it up now while you still have all the tools and parts and supplies out from doing the job in the first place. Tip number 9. Always keep all the things that you need for multiple oil changes on board at all times. Now, this isn't directly a tip for changing your oil, it's more of a safeguard against boat things happening and catching you off guard. Oh, and they will. You never know what could happen. There are all kinds of reasons why you might need to do an emergency oil change, or at least an oil change outside of your normal schedule of oil changes. We have friends that the extra oil aboard their boat was the only thing that allowed them to limp their engine back to port when it suffered a catastrophic leak. Other friends that water was somehow getting into their engine and into their oil, and it took 3 complete oil changes to solve the problem. And last but certainly not least, tip number 10. Dispose of oily rags, used oil filters, and used engine oil in the proper manner. This should go without saying, but I am going to say it anyway. Take your used oil, oily rags, and used oil filters to a facility that will properly recycle or dispose of it. It is 2025. The facts are in. Dumping oil anywhere, land or sea, is not good. The dark ages of, oh, it's not that much, or, oh, it's a lot of work to get it done, are over. Please, just do it. If there isn't a facility at hand that you are confident is going to dispose of it properly or recycle it, store it until you find one that will. Period. Bonus tips. Throughout your oil change process, we have started the engine at least a couple of times. So, now I have a few tips related to startups. Always, I mean always, check your raw water immediately after starting the engine. You can learn many things from those first few blasts of water from your exhaust system. First, is there water? Is there a normal amount of water? Is there anything contaminating the water, i.e. fuel, oil, coolant, a piston? Second, what does the exhaust with that water look like? Light and white could be burning coolant, maybe a blown head gasket. Dark and smoky could be oil in the piston, could be rings, could be valve train. All of these things indicate early warning signs of the health of your engine, and they all have a tendency to be a little bit more prevalent right at startup on a cold engine. Catching these things early could save you many, many boat bugs. So check that water right after starting up every single time. In my opinion, it's almost as important as the pre-startup engine checks. Believe it or not, the most valuable tip I can possibly offer is to make changing your engine oil a habit. Put it in a calendar, write down those engine hours on the filter, whatever it takes to do it when you need to do it, and prolong the life of your engine. Save yourself a ton of trouble in the long run. Trust me, it is worth the effort. As we near the end of this video, let's recap some of the main points. Changing your engine oil is crucial to prolonging the life of your engine, keeping it running smoothly and efficient as possible. Changing your engine oil can be intimidating, but hopefully with these tips, you will become a pro at maintaining your engine and its oil. Warm it up first. Get yourself an oil vacuum pump. Let air, but nothing else, in the top of your engine. Keep your empty jugs for the next time around. Use an oil pad in case of spills. Make a custom catch container for your filter and any oil that spills while you remove horizontal filters. Keep a maintenance log and write your engine hours and the date on your new oil filter. Restart the engine after you think you've got enough oil in the engine. Let it sit, then recheck. Always keep a few oil changes worth of supplies on board at all times. Always dispose of used oil and contaminated items properly. Make oil changes a habit, and always check your raw water. By following these tips and tricks, you'll be well on your way to becoming an oil change and maintenance pro. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. And don't forget, if you have any tips and tricks or stories about oil changes that have gone horribly wrong, or reasons why you should have changed the oil but you didn't, don't forget to leave those in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. If you'd like to see more tips and tricks videos from us, let us know that in the comments below too. We would love to see a little bit more community interaction through the comments on our videos. If you would like to help out with the next oil change or the next wildly unexpected breakdown, please feel free to check out our Patreon link in the comments below.
Oh, yes, please.
We want to say a huge thank you again to everyone who helped get us over 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Also, we want to say thank you to all of our patrons for helping keep this journey alive, and an extra special thank you to the names that you are seeing on screen now for always going the extra mile to make sure that we can keep going and that these videos keep coming and that they continue to get better and better and better every week.
Yes.
All right.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.